it. I love it. I'm gonna keep that on here too, just because you laughed at me. Oh, what up? What up? What up? It's your girl Tania, aka the Cool Auntie, and this is the Cool Auntie podcast. I hate how big I smile when I hop on here because I get so excited when I see who I'm talking to, and I know what I'm going to talk about, and I just get so filled with joy. I am being joined today by you're my parents. I always say that there are just select individuals who have raised me throughout the course of my 20 something years. And I am so happy to be joined by two of my college parents, aka the Featherstones. How y'all doing?
What up?
I'm gonna say, don't act like you're not gonna give me a hard time. They've been giving me a hard. Okay, I'm on a time clock tonight.
46.
No, I love it. And I'm so, you know what? But I love it. They are booked and busy and they found time, as always, just to support me continuously. So thank y'all. And so today we're talking about I'll be honest, a very vulnerable topic for me. I just didn't feel comfortable talking to anybody else about it, but y'all.
Okay.
And that is marriage. Marriage. I'm not a marriage. It's the big word.
What's his name?
No, that's the thing. Okay, that's the thing. Because I'll be honest, and I told my listeners this. No, there is no tea. I just never thought marriage was in my cards. I never told this to anyone that I've dated. I've never shared that out loud. But until recently, marriage was never an aspiration of mine. But I think because of the age, and I'm seeing my friends and colleagues doing the baby marriage thing, I'm thinking about it a lot more. But now, because I didn't always see it growing up, it seems almost foreign. And so I feel like I want a thing that I don't really know what it looks like. And so like I told you all when I reached out to you, when I thought about it, I'm like, well, who represents the kind of marriage that I want if I were to have one? And I immediately thought of the two of you who not only were you my first, but after talking to some friends, you were several of our first depictions and views of what healthy black marriage looks like. I guess I gotta ask, how does that, and y'all working at HBCUs, how does that make you feel knowing that folks see you that way?
I mean, it's an honor. It makes us feel warm and fuzzy inside. How you
It makes
feel?
we
It makes me. How you feel? How you feel?
I never thought about it. I think that's interesting to hear that folks see us and think that's cool. I think it's pressure.
It's pressure.
No.
I mean, it's not a bad pressure. But I think also is like what you see is what you get. Like this is me, this is her, wherever we are. And so I mean, it makes you that's good. I think it's good because if folks have come from single parent homes or no parent homes and haven't seen healthy relationships, or most of the people in their families are married and divorced, so like to see it, I believe, hopefully gives hope that it can happen and attainable, and you don't have to be what you grew up seeing, or you don't have to be what you witnessed. You don't have to be what you didn't see. Like if you want it, you can have it. You just have to go get it and work on it. So yeah.
No, I love that. Actually, I love that because it's a great segue too. Because I think now that I can admit that I want it, I won't say secretly. I do want it. I aspire to marry. I think I'm in a space of, okay, well, how do I prepare for it, right? This idea of what should I be doing now to prepare to meet my Boaz and to step into that. So I guess my first question is just, what do you wish someone would have told you before? What do you wish someone would have told you before you got married?
Well, before even going to that, I know you mentioned being prepared. What do you do to prepare? And as a female, I know for me, I had to prepare myself. I had to work on me. making sure I had myself in order and was doing things that I wanted to do. And I stopped making myself available for a Mr. Or for a husband, and started just focusing on what was important to me, and getting my relationship better with God. And then, honestly, out of nowhere, he came. Like out of nowhere. So I think that's the most important part. One thing, even though I know people, you'll know what will say to you, it's a sacrifice. I didn't know how much of a sacrifice being married really is. Does that make sense? Like, it really is a sacrifice.
What was that question? The first thing you said?
So the question, world.
Ooh, arrogance much? Arrogant much? Oh, God.
She asked, right, what did you do before you met the most
Your best thing, your hangs well.
You want me to talk about you? Or you want to talk about yourself? Okay. Well, I'm not going to talk about you. I'm going to talk about me. What I did.
What'd you do?
Can you? Janine, I think it's a decision. You have to decide. Like, it's something that clicks, right? Like, it clicks that hey, you know what? I don't want to be single, or you know what? I want to be married. And then how you act, do, talk, show up changes because your mind has started to shift to a different platform in your life. When you continue to think, you know what? I'm single and I'm going to be single. I'm like, that's what it is. But for me, it was a decision. Like, you know what? I think it's time to think about marriage. And from that point on, it was my vision shifted to not nearsighted but farsighted.
I love that because both of you kind of talk about it, but I guess I can resonate and say that I'm in that space now. Now I'm like, okay, you know what? I've been solo, team of one. Okay, I think I'm up for this. I can do this. How did you know? Because mind you, I'm pretty sure y'all dated prior to meeting each other, or maybe y'all were even dating multiple people when y'all met each other. How did you know that they were the one?
Did we answer the other question yet, though? We're just gonna keep flowing. I like this. We flowing.
We did.
I can't remember. You know.
You answered it.
You answered it.
How do I know? My family didn't scare her off.
Amen. I always say the person who can impress my mama is who I'm going to marry.
Yeah, like she was like my family liked her, and I brought her around, and it was like, hey, baby, and of course Zach was around. So then that was it. It was my mom and my sister met, and my grandma met Zach, and it was done, right? And so I think I knew. Again, once I decided I wanted to be married, I had to make a decision of like, you know what? Where am I looking and who am I looking for? She just popped up one day. I was like, oh, who that is riding around with them shades on, that sun hit her just right. Okay.
I can't.
What's her name? Who's she going to pick up?
I was like, oh my God. No. I was like, he is too much, team too much. He was team too much for me at first. So, but I realized we connected and became friends. And it was weird because one of my friends who works at NCCU, she and I were talking, and I would be like, well, Mr. Featherstone said, and Mr. Featherstone said, and she was like, that's some freaky. Because every time I turn around, you talk about Mr. Featherstone, that is your man. I was like, he is not my man. He is not my man. And so it just started growing. And I think I knew he was the one, and I don't think I ever told him this, but I knew he was the one when he gave me this Christmas gift. They were these two, they're candle holders. And I was like, this is the weirdest gift, because were we even really dating?
I don't know.
I think it just started, but it was the weirdest gift, but the gift to me was so different. And I had prayed and said, God, when it is the person, let them do things that are so different that I'll know that they're not like the last. And so he gave me these 2 candle holders, and every Christmas I put them out. And he knows how I am about it. Don't nobody touch them. They're like very like they come out every Christmas and then they go back away and they don't come back after Christmas because he gave them to me on Christmas. But when I got those, I was like, this must be something. This is something different. And then he wrote me a letter asking me to court him, allow him to court me. And I knew
that's so romantic.
Well, the thing is, it was confirmation because my dad did the exact same thing to my mom. And I don't know anybody else who's done that. So at that point, I was like, yep, he's not going nowhere.
I'm cheesy, girl. I'm cheesy.
I love it though. But I love your prayer. I think I wonder how to pray. My whole thing, I'm in this season of like, God, I don't want to pray for what I want, but I want to pray for your will. Because I know that whatever you have for me, it is.
Now look.
Uh-oh.
When you pray for his will, be ready. Because this is not what I was expecting.
Okay, please tell me more.
Everything that was on my list, I was like, oh, I'm pursuing a degree, so I'm going to need him to have this kind of degree. I'm going to need him to have this. I'm going to need him to have that. I'm going to need him to be here financially. I'm going to need him to be there. I'm going to need his family to be like this. I had this whole list of what I wanted, and that's what I prayed for. And then God gave me what I needed. And so it was different. He humbled me. He gave me someone who was not driving a brand new Mercedes. He gave me someone who was not working corporate at the time, making 6-7 figures. He gave me someone who loved God first. And I didn't realize how important that was. And especially because he met me and I was a single mom of a young child. So only thing on my list that stayed was I prayed, God, allow whoever I meet to not have kids yet, because I want my son to have that father relationship. And I knew it was selfish. And I even said, God, I know this is selfish because I have a child, but I want to marry someone that will give my child what he hasn't had. And that was the main thing that I prayed for, and it happened.
I love that, but I think I want to even go back to something that you said, because I hear that often, but I think I'm still wrapping my head around it. What's the difference between what someone wants and what someone needs?
What's the difference between what you want and what you need?
Right, because I can think right now that what I want are things that I need. Because like a lot of what's on my list aren't those things. They're not as materialistic. They're more of emotional things. Like someone who's patient. Because I know I'm a lot, right? I'm a lot. And so I don't like people who are a lot, because we can't be two a lots in a relationship. I need someone who can be like the water to my fire, whatever. I don't know. It's just,
I think some of your wants and your needs can be the same. Like you might need somebody that's not a lot, and you might want that too, because you probably tire yourself out because you're so a lot, right? You need somebody to balance that out. And so I wouldn't get too caught up on like what's a need and what's a want. You're gonna know the difference when it comes. So don't wreck your brain trying to like piece that out. Like your need, you know what you need. You know what you need, right? Like you need somebody that's going to not do everything for you and tell you like give you all the things you want all the time. You need somebody who's gonna tell you no. She doesn't want that.
Right.
But like I don't care. I'm gonna say no, and
I need somebody to tell me no.
And I'm gonna stick with it. That's what she needs, and she doesn't know that that's what she wants as well, right? Yeah, she wanted. She want me to tell her no because she want to see how far she can push. And I'm like, listen,
that's true.
Back up.
That's true.
In my head, I'm like, you got 3 strikes. You at number 2. All right.
I love that. Okay, I love this. This is so great. Okay, well then let me think, because even now I didn't even know. I'm thinking about even just putting Zach in the equation. Shout out to Zach, love him. But this idea of sorry, we just do that. Um, Joining lives together because that's also my big thing of I am and y'all know this. I'm very headstrong and I'm independent and I have my life and ain't nobody about to come in and tell me how I'm about to do whatever I'm doing. I'm doing. But like what is but I am learning this idea of like submission and like you mentioned sacrifice. What is it like or when we talk building a life together, what does building look like, especially in like the early
It is one, you got to be kind to yourself, and let me tell you why. So this one over here used to be mad at me, and I didn't. I'm like, and she would do. It's funny. She would do the same thing, but I had to realize um, I would just go, or I will say I'm coming back soon, or just I was doing single-minded stuff, and I had to say out loud, "Hey, you and I both have been single longer than we've been married, so this stuff is not going to change overnight. Like I'm not gonna just like it's gonna. There's habits I got to break that you do too, but just know it's not me just like being selfish. Like I just have been used to doing it, and so I had to say it out loud because in my head I was like, "What are you talking about?" Right? And so I think you got to be kind to yourself and understand that it's not gonna like shift overnight. You are. I've still been single longer than I've been married, and so there's still some things that I'm like, "Oh, wait a minute, I gotta shift that because I go into my single mind like, oh, I'm just moving, right?" And so it's like how you communicate, when you communicate, where you communicate, what are you communicating, and set those expectations so nobody is set up for failure in the beginning, middle, and or end. I think it's one of the things that we really have to look at, Janelle, is how at the end of the day, how do you want your relationship to look and work and feel for you? And you have to think about what you put your head to, what you put your heart to, and what you put your hands to. Your head, your heart, and your hands. They all have to line up. At the end of the day, what you're thinking has to line up with what you're feeling. So what you're thinking and feeling, you can actually go and do with your hands. You can actually physically do those things, do those works. That makes sense?
It does. It does. Well, I love that. I think my ideal relationship is a friendship because I want someone who sees me in a way that someone else doesn't or others don't. I guess, and then both of you mentioned just you were friends first. What does it mean? I think especially in today, it's hard to just be friends first. Because when you meet someone from the opposite sex, that's the first place that you go, right? Romance. What does it mean to be someone's friend first?
I think for us, well, I can say for me, is we just started having it started jokingly. And like I went to his job to pick up Zach, and Zach was very small, and I'm driving around, and I knew I was cute, and everything. And he was like, he was looking at me and everything, and I kept going, and he just kind of started flirting with me and stuff, and asking me to bring water and all this kind of stuff, and I was like,
because the council was hot, they was thirsty.
I was like, I ain't taking him nothing. And girl, I was in the store, girl, just buying water.
Not the fallback. Not the fallback, Lamb.
I ain't buying nothing. Let me go ahead and put this in the cart.
There you go. So we became friends, but it was a joking, and his personality, as you know, is really hot. And so him, it was a lot for me. I'll be honest. He was a lot. Like you said about yourself, he's a lot, but it was fun, and it allowed me not to be so too serious. Because here I was having to try to raise this little boy by myself, and everything had to be like this for me because I did not want my son to be one of those who saw mommy dating here, doing this, doing that. So I had to be very careful. So when they developed a relationship even before us, I was very cautious still. So I was like, that's their relationship. Well, then I kind of came in the mix. But so we were friends, but we had an extra piece that a lot of couples don't have. Is it was that. So it was one of those things where we had to respect him as a child and his needs because we were the adults. So our friendship grew, but all three of our relationship grew. And so I think it's very important because when you get in your 20s, your 30s, and you're talking about dating, getting married, today, a lot of people you meet may have children. I mean, it's a reality. They may have a child already. And so I think it's something very important to think about. If you don't like children, children are not your thing, then dating somebody with children is not something that you should do. He worked with children. He had always been doing things at that time with young people. So I didn't have to worry about him being a pedophile or anything like that. And,
okay.
And I mean, these are things you think about. I have to worry about those things. And, and then I had my friends check him out, check his records and all that. I mean, that's real, ladies. Whoever's watching, you still haven't checked them out. Men too now. Make sure you check them out. Because you don't know. You don't know what you're dealing with. But one thing about Joseph, and we work each other's nerves, and I know I'm a lot for him sometimes to have to deal with. But I knew that he loved God first. And I knew that was important to him because even in our dating and everything, and I was already dating a minister. He was a minister before, we even got together. So his thing was, you ain't gonna send me to hell, like dating the wrong way and doing all those things. So he was like, okay, things had to go a certain way with us. So I think it's important to know who you're with, understand what's important to them and what's important to you. And then that friendship can grow because you want to be friends. I mean, there's some days in friendships you don't like each other. There's some days I don't like him. There's some days I really just want to like knock him out the bed or just like, and I know, right? Some days you don't like me. Oh, yeah. Yeah.
He's like, blink what? If you just blink
right before we came on here, yeah, it was a moment. But I mean, but at the same time, if you love each other and you believe that God has ordained your relationship, then you can, make it through it. When you first get married, it's not that easy, especially when you've been single. There are many days we first got together, I would walk out of here and go get in my car and I'd be mad for weeks, wouldn't I? And then it went down from weeks to days, and then it went down, now it's about hours.
Yeah, it took about 10 years.
Yeah, it took a while, but I mean, I was like, who he talking to? What? Oh, he done lost his mind, but it was different things. And it takes some getting used to.
And I'm unbothered and unmoved.
And I am not. So if I'm talking to you and you unbothered and you unmoved, now I'm upset. And it's funny you use my wife and kids because we are so much like them. And I'm like,
I know. I know.
That is so us. Like, so, he walking through the house, leave the door open, just to try to, like prove a point or something, like, and I'm up here mad. So, but it works. So you have to have what works for you. What works for everybody else doesn't work for you,
So it's crazy. That was my next question. Just like, how do you make it work? 'Cause I'll be honest in that I don't like to say I'm a quitter, but when you've been through enough trauma, you're like, listen, I don't got time for this. There's some things that I ain't doing. Like, so if I see a flag, I'm out.
Yeah.
Hey, listen, Tennille, she done, divorced me and separated, moved out about 12 times, I know.
Ain't been nowhere.
About 30 times.
Ain't been nowhere.
Listen.
Ain't going nowhere.
She be mad right there, and I'll count. 1, 2, 3, 4. I know I'm about to get the text message that's gonna say I'm just gonna move out. Listen, I'd be like, sorry you feel that way. Tell me more. I'm sorry you feel that way. Let me know your next steps.
Not the email language.
And so then I just go to the joint account and buy me something on his behalf, and I
but for me it's whatever. Like you could. But I did tell her one time. I said, hey, don't say that to me again.
So Tania, this comes from, like, for me, and he and I've had conversations, like you mentioned something, trauma from the past. I had some traumatic relationships before him. I had people that did not treat me right. I had people who abandoned me. I had people who, I grew up with a dad. My mom passed when I was very young. I grew up with seeing people curse, and I grew up, a lot of different things. So when I would, like, somebody raise their voice at me, would remind me of the boyfriend I had in high school, in college, that hit me. So I gotta go. Or every boyfriend I had prior to my husband cheated on me. So I had all these insecurities and traumas, and I had to start to realize that he wasn't them, and I was bringing it in to the relationship. I had a family member hurt me when I was younger. Only as in the past probably 5 years have I even talked about that, and I was holding that in. He didn't know that, so certain things he was catching because of what I had gone through. And you mentioned the trauma. And I'm sure that even from his life, there were some things that, I caught because of what he had dealt. So we have to learn how to deal with those things and realize that the person that you're with, or that you have purpose to spend the rest of your life with, that you have to be open with them. The most vulnerable person that you can be and you can be with has to be your spouse. He knows all my flaws. You know what I'm saying? Like, you have to be able to just be, and when I say naked, I don't mean physically naked. I mean completely naked. Like, now we walk around here and we getting mature, girl, and everything ain't lifted like it used to be. We just walk around naked. So it's a physical nakedness, but it's an emotional nakedness too. Because it is what it is. We're who we are.
And I think so. All that's good, what you said, but it took a lot of time because I don't know what you went through unless you tell me, and I'm a digger. Like I want to know, I want to ask questions, but she didn't want to be questioned. But I need to understand. Like I can't stay with you if I don't understand. That's what the Bible says. The Bible says, "How can a man dwell with a woman if I don't understand? I need you to share with me what it is you were going through." Even understanding, like I would say, she would ask me a question, and I'd be like, "Hold on, not right now. Wait a minute." And she was get mad. I'm like, "What is wrong with you? You said no." I said, "No, I didn't say no. I said hold on." But in her head, she heard no. And so it was like, no, that's not what I'm saying, right? And so we had to have those conversations. We're like, yo, this is what I'm thinking. This is what I'm saying. Help me understand you. And if we're going to do this, we can't make it work. We have to decide and choose for it to work. It's not a making. If you make things happen, you're fabricating and you're crafting things. But if it's a decision and if it's a choice, then those are two different things. You're choosing to, even though it looks bad, feel bad, sounds bad, you know what? I'm choosing to work this. I'm gonna decide that this is where I need to be. And is she worth it? Yeah. Is he worth it? Yeah.
Period.
And so I think for you, whatever your trauma is or was, you're going to have to get to the point where you're able to share it in a way that you feel you can trust that individual, that he has your heart in his hand and he's not going to crush it. He's not going to bring it up in an argument later on and turn it against you. You know what I mean? And that's going to take some time. That's going to take some healing for you. That's going to take some trust for anybody who's watching. If you've been in that situation, these things take time. And I would say, don't rush the time, but choose to decide that it's time to start to heal. Because without it, you're going to still be in the same place, and you're going to be wondering why you keep running people off, male or female. Everybody's trauma is different. And mine was simply I didn't feel appreciated in a past relationship. I was not what folks wanted me to be. I wasn't It's funny. I wasn't in corporate America and chasing after money and like no, I was content with working with young people and I didn't need like all the flam. I didn't need that, and that was not good enough for them. And I was like, well, this is who I am, and I'm not changing. I'm not shifting. This is I do not want to be in the limelight, but God has put us in a place where we're in the limelight. The light, so to speak. No pun intended. So, like all of these things are. I mean, and it is relationships, just like leadership is hard, and they're the same thing. You're dealing with people in leadership. You're dealing with people in relationships. It's hard.
I always tell my students it's influence. At the end of the day, the core of what it is, leadership is influence. Is how you
Yep.
make people feel, what you inspire them
Yep.
to do. Absolutely. Wow. So I think I even think about I think time applies to both in a relationship and before. How do you know that you're ready though? I think because even like y'all mentioned some things. So I am Miss Featherstone. I'm the same way in that I was in abusive relationships. So when people raise their voice, I cry. Even if
Yeah.
I'm not scared, my natural inclination is I'm in tears. And so there was a time
Mhm.
where I wouldn't communicate that, but now I communicate like, hey, listen, sorry, not sorry, but you can't raise your voice at me because when you do this, this is how it makes me feel and this is what it triggers. And so like for me,
It's a
that's
trigger.
growth.
It's a trigger.
And I
Yeah.
don't think it'll ever go away. But I think the growth is that I'm communicating that now early when before it was something that I just dealt with and never said anything. But I think sometimes too, I'm in this space of I want to take care of all of my demons and all of my healing before I step into anything new because I don't want to bring in that baggage. But I'm also learning that healing is layered and some healing happens over time. How do you know when you're ready? How do you know when you're whole? Because I don't know if we're ever. I feel like from what I know about just with who God is, it's a consistent work. So I'm never gonna be a full 100% me. It's a lifelong journey. So how do I know when I'm ready or when I'm whole enough to get into a relationship?
I didn't know.
Mm.
I questioned myself um, all the way to the altar. And
Amen.
no, I'm serious. Like I was like, now I wanted to be married about it. Now when I met him and we started, dating and courting and everything, then I was like, okay, I'm trying to get married now. Because okay, he said he courted me, so I know what that means. So okay. But then when he asked me to marry him, then I was like, oh shoot, it's real now. So now this is real. I don't want to mess up his life. I don't want to be the reason for things not to go right. His family has fallen in love and taken this baby who, like it's theirs. And now we've all got these connections. I'm not ready, Lord. Oh Lord, he's a minister. Oh God. So then I had all these different things. So I was like, am I ready? I'm not ready. So even sometimes now I'll even say, am I really ready? Like you like really. But I think because no, I know because of where we are spiritually
Mm.
that you know you have to die daily, and sometimes I die slowly daily. Sometimes it takes me a little longer to let it go, but we die daily, and with that, and being rebuilt the next day,
Mm.
in hopes that I'm doing it a little bit better, that I'm getting better at what it is. So just like he said earlier, everything is a process. It's a process. Do you ever feel like when I don't know, he can answer it for himself, but for me, when you're with someone who God has ordained for you, has put in your life, takes care of you, is there for you, do you really think that you're worthy of it? I don't know many people who probably would say, yes, yes, I do. Because you're like, oh, God, you did that for me? Is that, so you kind of feel like, I don't know if I'm ready. But the thing with that is that's humility. And so if you've got the humility and you're not walking around so prideful about it, then God will keep blessing it.
Mm. Amen.
Um, I don't know. I'm thinking about you. I'm not thinking about me. I'm thinking about you. I feel like you answer your own question about how you know when you're ready, because like you're not going to be totally whole, fully right all the time. I mean, in the beginning, and so um, it's going to be hard for you to hear. I think you're closer to being ready to be in a relationship than you really think you are.
Mm.
However, although you have to talk yourself into it as much as you're talking yourself out of it.
Mm.
That was me. He's okay
And
with me
so
too.
I'm thinking, like, you like, here's the problem that it's not your problem. That's their problem that they're going to have to get over. Um, you're independent, you're successful, you're driven, right? Like all those things. You're a strong black woman. Um, but I, what they're going to have to realize is that even in your strength, there's meekness and there's weakness, and you still need to be nurtured and cared for and hugged and like all those things, right? And so you will know when you're ready when some of those pieces start to fall together with whoever he is.
Mm.
When you're comfortable in a space, when you are able to, talk about things that you normally wouldn't talk about, and when you're able to disclose some insecurities, whether it be some physical things that you're insecure about or some things that like when you're able to have open conversation and dialogue, I think you'll know when you're ready. To do it, and we just like to have fun and laugh, and like it's not all serious all the time either, right? And so those things, you'll know. And again, like she said she didn't know until walking down the aisle. I don't think I had a doubt. I was just like, is she really trying to marry me? Because I know me. I am something else. So
His
so
grandma warned
so
me.
my doubt wasn't even her. It was like because I am I know a piece of work. I know who I am, and I'm okay with it. But I also didn't want to jack up Zach. I didn't want to mess up his life or mess up her life. Um, but I also knew that I wasn't, and I'm not perfect. I tell the boys, I tell anybody all the time, like I'm gonna miss it some days. Some days I'm gonna hit it on the head. Some days I'm gonna mess up, but I'm gonna keep trying, and I'm gonna own it. I'm gonna own my miss, and I'm gonna apologize, and I'm going to tell them, especially if it happens in front of them, be better than me. See what I did, do differently, and be better than me. Now, yeah, I apologize, but like, don't do that, right? And so I think you find somebody that can do that, and he'll find you. You don't have to do anything different than what you're doing. He'll find you.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
See,
you're worth it. You're worthy.
Yeah.
So whatever doubts you have about yourself, you know what? I'm gonna go ahead and take me. I'm about to get in the car. I'm coming up there. Let me come see you.
Two things I want to add to his is
I was in the car, girl. I was in the car.
He's
I was in the car. You needed a daddy hug. I was coming. Come in,
I
baby.
know. I know. I felt it.
I forgot what I was gonna say.
It's okay.
One of them though, I was gonna say is to add to what he was saying, when you can be your most vulnerable.
Hmm.
Like I have an insecurity of my knees. I do not like my knees to be. I don't like my knees. Never have liked them. Don't want them seen. But around him, I just have on my booty shorts, and I be just giving it to him, just walking around because
Yes,
I'm
it
secure with him. Okay, right. So and little stuff like that, like that you're comfortable. It's really like okay, I can be. I don't care. How I look. You know what I'm saying? When I'm with him. I mean, I care, don't get me wrong, because I want him to keep looking at me, and everything. But I'm just saying, like, I know I can look my busted around him and it's okay. So I think that vulnerability, you laughing at me.
Yeah, that's funny.
No, I love it. Y'all must have read my notes. I have like my separate notes, but everything just flows, like y'all said. I don't. So first and foremost, thank y'all as always. I felt the dad. I felt the mom and dad hug. Y'all have always just been those people for me. Yes, and it's not to say that I love my mom to death, but there's just some things
Oh yeah.
that God
Mhm.
people in your life to deposit. Like he says, we lack no good thing, right? And so, what I didn't have in a father, I think he's placed so many strong males in my life to where they were able to deposit into pour, and vice versa with my mom and everything. So never that, but I always appreciate y'all. I guess my last question, because I'm not sure how often, because y'all work with college students, but dating today is different, especially after the pandemic. It really changed a lot about how we date. And I think for some people, I think it brought some clarity to some folks about just what they want out of relationships and those things. What would you say? So somebody like me, what is positioning? Because I have argued with friends about Ruth and Boaz's story about what it really says and what I think it means, and so there's a scripture, and there's one part of the story where Naomi instructs Ruth of what to do, and Ruth lays at Boaz's feet. And I always took that as positioning yourself to be found, personally. Mm-hmm. And so I know, like Miss Featherstone, you said something that I heard Miss Keisha say, that I've heard people say constantly, like he'll come out of nowhere. How do I position myself to encounter him? Because I do just go to work and home, and I see 23 and younger every day. And at home, it's just my dog. So how do you position yourself to be found? If that's a spiritual or physical or emotional thing.
Well, I'm sure he's going to talk about that too, but couple things. I stopped positioning myself. I had, prior to him, I was placing myself where I thought I needed to meet people. I was going to the gym to work out, but I was going because, okay, people say they meet people in the gym. I was going on dating sites because people say they met people on those sites. I was going to the bigger churches because there was more men there. So, and I knew I was cute. So I was like, let me go out here and let them see. Well, that wasn't working. That wasn't. So I said, let me stop worrying about putting myself somewhere and focus on me, focus on God, focus on my son. And if it happens, it happens. I had gotten to a place where I was like, if a husband comes, fine. If not, then fine. So my position wasn't a physical position, it became a spiritual position. I was working at NCCU, but there was nobody there I would have wanted to date. I mean, I'm just being honest. Did I have somebody, trying to holler at me all the time? Yeah. I mean, I'm just going to be honest. I did. And at one point, it was so funny. I even told one of my best friends, I said, God must be doing something, because I know, okay, I'm all right. But every day somebody trying to hit on me. Now, at that point, I think God was just like saying, okay, let me see how serious you really are. Are you going to just, let whatever comes, take it, or you going to say, I'm going to still wait? And even at the time that I met him, somebody else was trying to pursue me and had a lot, or at least portrayed to have a lot of the things that I thought he, I wanted, but it wasn't for me. And I believe that if you ask God, God will certainly let you know, this is not for you. Just just take your time, wait. And so for me, I had to grow some patience. I had to just take my time. I had to say, okay, I'm going to wait. And was it easy? It was not easy. Did I have lonely days? Of course. Did I see my friends getting married and babies? And I'm like, what about me? Yeah. But then, like we said earlier, there's some days and I just like, oh. But sometimes I'm literally like in bed at night and I'm like, Lord, if this man wasn't next to me, what would I do? A lot of things I had to do prior to him, I don't have to do anymore. And now I've kind of lost how to do it. Like, I'm like, Lord Jesus, I don't even know how to pay that bill. Like, but it's a good thing, if that makes sense. Yeah, it is. It's a good thing. I mean, I'm taken care of. And that's what I waited for. That's what I wanted. And so, I don't want to get sentimental and everything, but I think it's a patience thing. Just focus on you, position yourself for God, in front of God, and then the rest will come. And I always tell everybody, and Cassandra knows we've had this conversation, read all of Boaz. Read the whole story of Boaz. Make sure you read the whole story.
Yeah, that marriage was short-lived.
It was short-lived. That's why I don't ever tell anybody he's not my Boaz. He's my man of God that God gave me. He's mine. I never tell people that I married a Boaz. He's not, because Boaz didn't live long after that marriage. So she had her happiness for a very short period of time. So do I want my happiness for a short period of time and it go to the mountaintop and peak top right then? Or do I want it to be long lasting? I want mine to be long lasting. So anybody watching, read the whole story of Boaz.
I'm doing
so instead of saying I want my Boaz, I want my man of God. I want my man that's destined for me. I want the man that God created for me. Or for the men, I want my woman that God has perfectly made for me, that he's taken my rib and put in her and made for me. That's what I want. It's not about being the names of Ruth or Boaz or any of that. It's just, I want mine. I want what you have for me. And if you truly have the desire for it, your person is out there being molded and made right now. He's making them. And he's got them ready for you, just you getting ready. So both people have to get ready. We both had to get ready to bump into each other.
Well, she took all the time. I can't say that because she didn't talk the whole time.
I'm sorry. Really? Honey.
It's okay. Please stop. Hey, so
y'all see the smile coming? You see it? Look at the smile. Look at it. Hey, boo.
Hey, babe.
Come on, boo.
Okay, I'm trying to talk to you.
Yeah, don't know. What your smile coming through?
You want me to smile? Yeah. Okay, stop.
It ain't okay. He don't mean that.
This isn't natural and organic, and I wouldn't want it any other way.
I think the other thing is the scripture says it, right? Like, a man who finds a wife finds a good thing, obtain favor from the Lord, right? So it's his job to locate you, not your job to position yourself to be located. That makes sense? Like, you don't have to do anything extra. Like, he's gonna make sure that once you all are both in whatever state of ready that he needs you to be in, that it's gonna happen. I think we mess up things when we try to orchestrate and make things happen ourselves. Not saying we don't have to put in some work, because faith without work is dead. Like, we gotta do some things, right? Mm-hmm. But and I feel, it seems like it's a strong desire of yours. And he's going to show you the desire of your heart, and he's going to give it to you in his due time and due season. And that's for anybody who is watching and listening. Don't try to do it yourself. And I think that's where we mess up, when we try to do it ourselves. But I think you're on the right track.
Can I add something? One thing that's important. Can I believe? No.
Go ahead.
Often we try to say that we're not interested. We're not interested in being married. We don't want that relationship because it's easy to just pretend. But there's power in the tongue. So affirmations, daily affirmations, even if they're by yourself, it's okay to say, I am someone's wife. I am a wife. And I started writing in my journal, I'm a wife. I am a wife. I know I'm a wife. So even today, there are some things I desire and want, and I have to remind myself, in order for it to manifest, I have got to confess it and stop saying, I don't want to be married. You're around a bunch of people, you'll say, yeah, I don't want to be married. I really don't want to. When you know deep down inside, okay, my desire is to have a mate and have that person that God has created for me. So you have to speak those things. Power in the tongue.
Okay, I'm gonna start saying that. I am a wife. I feel that. I laugh. It was just different coming out of my mouth.
Okay.
Say it again.
I am a wife.
Yes, you are, girl. Yeah.